Welcome back, everyone, to the WGLEU. Hope our short break was enough for you to recharge your batteries as we jump into another intense match. It's going to be, as I said, Synergy going up against Penta here as well. On one side, you've got a team who's on a resurgence. Synergy had a fairly average start to the season and then have sort of maybe given us an idea of what they can do by beating the Wombats. Penta languishing a little bit, very much up and down. I mean, bear in mind, both Wombats and Penta are absent. They were practicing on a different format because of WCA, so they now still need to acclimatise a little bit more to this one. But this is a test for Penta, no doubt about it. They faced Synergy before. They know what they're capable of. And we've got two teams here who are known well in the league for having often intricate and very well executed strategies.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, often too intricate and too complicated for them to actually execute. But I mean, also a good thing to mention is that they've both played on Tuesday, as you mentioned. Wombats going down to Synergy and Penta getting bested by Oops. So not a lot of time to recharge the old batteries in between then and Thursday and a couple of days rest. So that could play into the minds of these two teams. But I mean, the question is, did Penta play bad and that's why they lost against Oops? And did Synergy play well, and is that why they won against Wombats? I'm not so sure. I think Penta and Oops were pretty much the same, played equally, and I think at the beginning Penta played well, and at the end Oops played well. And of course that tiebreaker is always a bit of a coin toss. Doesn't necessarily say which team was the better, but I think Oops probably deserved it in the end in the long run. And then when we look at Synergy against Wombats, I mean, Dreamlike had a fantastic run. Mielov had a fantastic performance as well. But I felt like Wombats just wasn't on form comparing to previous matches and almost all matches they've ever played. And that could be the reason why they lost it.
Wombats haven't beaten Synergy in the WGL.
Really?
Last season they got crunched by them, 5-1.
Yeah, that's true.
This time they obviously lost.
Yeah, I mean, on Himmelsdorf, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is now between Season 1 and Season 2, there's a lot more maps. So the potential for us to see a lot more maps played. Yeah. So, I mean, we're seeing, and like you said before, it was Penta and Oops, both were good on some stages of the game, and it was Oops to come out on top in the end. I mean, it's the same thing here as well. We see so many different maps, and there's possibilities for teams to get two of their preferred maps if they're not shared. So, you know, while that makes it very, very important to win both rounds on your map of choice, otherwise you have to take one away from the enemy team on their map of choice. Getting a bit complicated now, but what we're trying to say is more maps, more different strategies. Teams don't have to be locked into 2 attack rounds, 2 defense rounds. If there's a map they suck at, they're not going to be punished so badly in this format. Yeah,
for sure. But I think, you know, there's so many more maps, they've got to be better at more maps. And I think with all these formats, but specifically 768, it's more about what you ban than what you pick. Okay. I felt like on Tuesday we had, for instance, 3 city maps in a row: Rurenburg, Himmelsdorf, and Ghost Town. And I felt like that's because every team can kind of play them, not because one of the 2 teams was necessarily better. They were just worse on those open maps. So that's always an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And maybe some of the side of the whole gameplay, which we don't really talk about a lot about, but the teams are talking about a lot, which is probably more our fault than anything else. But we can't really work our way into the minds of some of these team captains. But I think Penta, Synergy, I mean, I think Penta was one of the teams that beat Synergy 5-0 in the pre-playoffs for the finals last season. But again, it's a different tier format, so it's kind of hard to draw comparisons.
Yeah, that's right. And Penta have been a team who've shown many faces, shown many facets to us over their game. Some are excellent, some are absolutely shocking, and then some include massive upsets at season finals like our last season. So hard to say. I mean, they've always been a team that have been up and down. The end of their seasons generally show some improvement here. I mean, Melly as well, you did give us a bit of a foreshadowing to what the voting was prior to this map actually starting, and it was actually Penta being the favoured team.
Exactly, with 60%, and it already raised up to 77%. So the vote is open, people. Head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get involved. If you do so, and if you predict the exact scoreline for this matchup, and you're one of the 3 fastest, you might win a bonus code containing a Großtraktor.
Are you not German?
No, I can't pronounce it, sorry. Großtraktor. It's really hard to switch accents. Well,
but it's double S and not the big B thing.
Groß.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, I know it's the same, but I mean...
Because the big B thing you don't have on the international keyboard.
But it's sometimes put on regardless.
It's weird.
Yeah.
No, but it's called Großtraktor.
Yeah.
So it's not Großtraktor.
Großtraktor.
because double S makes the vowel short and whatever.
Cool, sorry.
Großtraktor.
Cool language you got
I'm
there.
interested in these, all right.
And premium and gold and a garage slot and yes, that's all, but that's plenty if you ask me. And also get involved via Twitter, use the hashtag WGLEU. Also Carmen tweeted finally 3 points in the gold series and you can really feel how he relieved he is throughout that tweet. So maybe we'll see more from them. They really did well.
Maybe there's a trend whenever Carmen doesn't try to predict the results of the Week's games, he gets a win.
Yeah.
That's
Don't put these. It's gonna be working into his head real bad.
I'm getting in his head, boys. That's what I'm doing, mate.
No more predictions.
Well, there's
from
no
Carmen.
hair to get through, I guess, so it's pretty much a straight shot in there. So no dramas. But
It's a thick head, though. I know, the brain.
to be fair, I'm pretty sure he had a job like recently as like a guy to break rocks. Like he just like they just line him up and he just never mind. It does explain some of his strategies now. To be fair, but they got the
He
win
didn't even
anyway.
played any rounds last time. I don't think that last
He's
match.
still calling the shots though, mate. He's still there, hanging on somehow. Carmen, what's going on, bro? Why aren't you playing? Why are you subbing people out? You scared, bro? You scared?
Aww.
Oh, he's going to call him out. Now he's going to lose every other round because he's playing it now.
In his head. But of course, that's behind us now, of course. Carmen's head is always in front and behind us because it's so big. But that game is behind us. Now, Synergy and Penta. Muravanka going to be the first map of this one as well. And this is interesting because neither of these two teams have really played this a heck of a lot. Penta more so. They've played 4 rounds on it and they've won 3 of them, so that's not too bad. Synergy are 1-1 on Muravanka here, so not really a lot to be going home with on that one, but we'll show you the map and you guys can get a bit of a look at that one as well if you're not familiar with Muravanka before we do jump into the game. And of course we'll be able to see our tank picks here as well. I mean, Oliver, your predictions here, your thoughts, having seen already a little bit from Penta on this one?
Well, I think Penta is a solid team. I mean, in my opinion, Synergy is still working through some of their roster issues. Penta, of course, had some roster issues, but I mean, Penta's more experienced. They've got better results. And they've played under pressure. They're now to play under pressure, and that should serve for something. And Synergy, they're so iffy. They're so unpredictable. We don't really know where they're at. I mean, again, did they play well against Wombats, or did Wombats play badly and Penta play well? So, I know. It's hard to say. I think it's going to be a close match. This map, I mean, Muravanka, I mean, it could easily be 2-2. Defense side's definitely slightly easier to play.
Yes.
But just looking at the kind of more dynamic style, does seem to lend its favor towards Penta this season, whereas I would have thought they were more of a lighter lineup last season, but now they seem to be better on Himmelsdorf as the slightly heavier maps, Ghost Town, Ruhenberg. While Synergy, okay, they have those kind of player issues where some of them are a bit unpredictable and not particularly consistent, but I do like them on the open maps.
2 artilleries coming out here, of course, M40, M43 for both teams. They both go on double bat chats. TVP's in the mix there. It's a T110E5 here, though, coming out for Synergy. So they will be bringing that heavy tank into the mix here. That's only the only real distinction you can make between these two lineups here as well. Let's see if they have a plan for that one as well now, of course, as Muravanka is just around the corner. Players are loading in to this one. Fairly familiar for most of you, I'm sure. The main hill, of course, over on that eastern side with the water tower there. Often used by a lot of teams in the Magic Forest, of course, aptly named, as some tanks seem to appear from out of nowhere from there. A great place to get yourself. We're going to jump straight in. Head first is Dreamlike here on the bat chat. He's already forging forward. And Synergy are hoping to use Ludi Pavlo on that 110E5, maybe for some hull down action or some work towards the western side.
Yeah, so I think right now, I mean, both artillery pieces aren't going to play a massively significant role. It's going to be a gamble. I mean, it's almost about the same chance of hitting something on this map as winning the Powerball. It's just, it's super hard. It looks like Penta at the moment pushing towards that right side with the faster line that they've got. I mean, like the one round I saw Penta lose on this matchup was when they got completely outplayed because the other team was expecting this move. Aggressive push towards that Magic Forest at the beginning. The Death Zone gets spotted, Crespix gets spotted, and Penta's going to be thinking, okay, well, obviously Synergy went towards their right side. Can we actually catch up with them and do some damage before they get into safe positions on the more hilly western side?
One of the most important things to have on your side if you're going to try and defend against that cap point #1 is mid-control. To be able to push through that middle road there at sort of E3, F3, really, really handy to help you cap. But the problem is that Synergy have the northern and the southern sides of that cap #1 under wraps. They have control here. So pushing through the middle, super dangerous here. And Penta almost realized that already. And the Dead Zone, he's the man out at the front here. got himself up on towards that hill, hasn't really committed, hasn't really poked up there, but we need a reset quite soon here. Synergy have wasted no time getting onto the cap.
Yeah, they're just going to be pushing straight in. They know where Penta Sports were coming from, but Penta's just charging through the middle. They're being very dynamic, hard to predict, like Multi's positioning in the background.
Now look at the damage now coming in as well. At least the reset has come out. Synergy taking a bit of a battering here. New Multi-Show forced to back away, and Crespix actually gets the final blow towards Vale. Penta fighting on two fronts here as Mersky and Mihailov are showing themselves up on that hill. Happy Bubble still off in the background there as well with that artillery, but there's Raven coming forward. Mersky goes down. Ludi Pavlo is able to take one shot there, but he won't be able to see a lot from his position. New Multi does get rid of his last shell. Will probably go down now as a result as Dreamlight gets the finish, but he's done a decent amount of damage. Penta are in front in health points. They need to now get these overmatches, and they've got a 4v2 here. This is perfect. Crespix and Mihailov back-to-back. Brothers in arms. I mean, they're going to drop at the same time as well here, but good shots in from the side. John Corleone took down the dead zone, and this is kind of making it harder for Penta to use their spearhead here. They had a 4v2. It went down to 2 tanks in the end, and they have to take on 4 from Synergy. Fairly even in terms of health points. Both artilleries are still standing, but we got Ludi Pavlo, John Corleone, and Dreamlike all free to try and I guess, outplay these 2 tanks left. And look at that, bit of splash damage coming in from Happy Bubble, always going to be helpful as this object and STB1 push forward.
I mean, Raging there to miss that crucial shot. I was going to say, okay, if Raging hit that, did a lot of damage to Luti, brought him down to 1 shot, could still be a win for Penta, but Synergy are now ahead.
Oh, Dreamlike needed to hit that one, but he's going to have plenty more shots where that came from. The fact that you've got a batch out in the side getting damage is just so helpful for Synergy, and they will be able to get the finish off on Killer Pit and Raven. And Raging Potato, although he hasn't shown himself, he's not going to be able to do anything from this position. He needs his teammates to make the spots for him. This is a bit of a different position we normally see artillery in. Quite often they're towards the south or the extremities of the map just to stay safe. Raging Potato was hoping for some good shots on towards a hill here, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. He does sit on his own now as well. We're going to fire a bit of a pot shot there as he won't have the spot on any of those tanks anymore. He'll push forward across the map to meet his maker, and all the while Penta surely are discussing exactly what went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think Penta made it super complicated for themselves. They were really aggressive. They were trying all sorts of different things. I think Multi in the background, the matchup almost certainly overstayed his welcome, and there wasn't enough support. And there was so much pressure from Synergy pushing those other tanks that were coming from the middle back down the hill that Multi couldn't run away without receiving damage from the pushing TVPs. And you know, the T110 at the end was just a saving grace for Synergy. It was just in a perfect position, super hard to take down, it's hull down, and you know, with Raging Potato in the last few seconds missing that crucial shell, that was pretty much the nail in the coffin. So I think Penta probably tried something a little bit too aggressive. Worked out fantastically the first few seconds.
Sure.
I mean, the damage was great, but then I think they kind of backed up a little bit and let Synergy go hull down.
So what was the ideal situation for Penta in that map? Because they all went towards the forest. Now, do they want Synergy to come to them? Do they want there to be a fight happening on the forest? Or are they comfortable with just using the forest as a maneuvering tool to get towards the northern side of the map or maybe push across? Because it seems like Penta were never really in position at any point. They were always moving, never any sort of static sort of position. They had to just go for the cap and get the reset because of the pressure that Synergy put on them.
I mean, with no T110, you really don't have the choice of doing what a lot of the teams do, putting a T110 on that western side with an STB or whatever tank hull down. So I felt like they did try to get some early damage. I mean, we've seen that from Penta before, pushing into the Magic Forest from the attack or the defense in this case. And, you know, they got one shot off and then they pushed through the middle. But I felt like the setup from Synergy was really nice. And the fact that Multi couldn't get away from that position didn't really lend them any favors, didn't really do them any favors. And yeah, I think they got one shot onto Crespix, but he still did 2,026. I mean, sorry, one Amarak onto Crespix, but he still did good amount of damage. And yeah, 1.4k, 5 shots. That's a couple of bounces there. Raging Potato, no damage, whilst we can see that the M40 Happy Bubble, who played a fantastic set of artillery rounds against Wombats as well, was on that first page.
Yeah, both of those artillery...
Oh, sorry, it wasn't on the first page. Did a little bit more damage there.
Yeah. Both those artillery, a bit average from them as well. I mean, with a very dynamic lineup on Penta, it's hard to sort of pin one of those tanks down long enough to do damage. Yeah. Happy Bubble got some splash or damage off against the moving targets, so it's pretty good if you can do that as an artillery. But probably what's more important is that Penta weren't able to use their M40, M43 to any kind of effect, really. Mm-hmm. It takes a while to get into that position on the in the Magic Forest, Happy Forest, whatever, all the same. Yeah, you literally have to move all the way from the south to get there. So by the time I think that artillery was ready, Penta were pretty much decimated. There was nothing to fire at. Maybe those tanks went in great positions. I don't even know if I really rate that positioning either way, because you've got the ridges on the west that make it hard to get shots of those tanks.
I mean, you have the higher ground. That's the thing. You can put tanks up there that can be hull down, and you can kind of flex around the map. There's a lot of cover there in general, and the M40, M43 realistically is going to get 2, maybe 3 shells out, and with the accuracy you see on that tank, if you hit one of them, you're lucky at this kind of range on Muravanka and the moving targets. And a lot of the more experienced players in general in World Tanks, they play anti-artillery if there's any kind of artillery on the other team, because they know that if they don't, they will get hit. And that's just simply how it works. I don't know why, but that's just one of the lessons you learn when artillery was actually super effective in this game, even though it was never really super effective.
The golden era of
Let's say
artillery.
like the first 6 months of the gaming in open beta, the S51 was a beast. But anyway, more of a standard setup here from Synergy. T110E5, Batchat, STB. Interestingly, they got the Batchat so far forwards on that western side. Could go badly for them. Usually only see an STB there. And then the MX-3090 all the way down south in a pretty far south position, just spotting that cap number 2.
So Vale gets on towards the cap without being spotted at all here, and this is going to require that Synergy actually comes forward to find Vale to try and get some resets in the first place. Ludi Pavlo can set up on the hill there and do some decent hull down, but still no damage has actually been done in this round. Neither team have made those connections, neither team have really made an impact, and it is Penta Sports just kicking things off here. And the fact that no damage has been done, it's great for Penta Sports. They've been able to set up pretty much unharmed this far. Already some pings over towards the minimap as well, I can see on my screen. So a little bit of, calling coming here from John from Synergy, who had a great round last round, by the way, not only as captain, but also doing top damage on his team. And that's Ludi Pavlo missing a shot that he maybe really shouldn't there and taking one in response from the STB. So that'll keep him quiet for a moment. Vale is now lit though as well, either by proxy spot or by the Batchat off towards the side. So at least Synergy can see what kind of tank it is that's capping out.
Yeah, exactly. They want to be keeping an eye on and know exactly where Penta Sports is, and the Batchat being smaller, it'll be harder to reset. You can see that Luti doesn't even, with that T110, have the gun depression to do so. I mean, the interesting thing though, Penta's towards that right side with a Batchat and RE251, so they're clearly expecting a smaller, light tank, for instance, that MX-3090 of Happy, or maybe like a TVP or Batchat to come from that angle to try and get a reset, perhaps through the middle. But Vale does eventually get it, as Dreamlike pushes forwards with the Batchat.
Yeah, Dreamlike having to make that move there out towards the center a little bit more. He got the reset, that's all he needed. He's actually managed to continue, he's decided to continue to push forward actually. Here's Ragey Potato though in the middle of the map here. There's a little bit of cover from the ridge in front of him. You can actually see that slightly raised, so we can move fairly safely back and forth along that line here. But the cap has been reinitiated, this time by, again, the Batchat. Killerpit is off towards the side though as well. He's fairly close, and Mayland as well. So Killerpit and Mayland, that's pretty scary to try and deal with. We saw a Batchat shot go dinging off the side of Mayland before. So good armor for that FV, able to shrug off a fair bit of that damage. But again, only one tank on the cap. It's not really going to be too much a cause for concern for Synergy right now. Probably the real issue for them is that they're losing these trades pretty badly.
And the fact that, Dreamlight went so far forward in the Batchat, and New Multi-Show's just going to peek over that hill and kill him. Raven HR's been super patient, not giving that game away too early on. And, I think this is going to be the end of him. Mursky is in the background, though, so Penta do have to be careful of that.
Dreamlike's been caught with his pants down here. New Multi-Show just barreling in from the south. He'll get the finish on him easily enough. He has taken some damage, but now he has a Batchat hull in front for protection. And Mursky may not have much of that himself there as well. He's decided to stay up on the hill. He'll eat an extra shell there from New Multi-Show, but that Batchat now on reload, and an extra tank has moved up on towards the cap. They really want to deal with Mursky on that STB to prevent any reset coming in towards Penta. But Ludi, he has to commit to the top of the hill. Got tracked as well. Super dangerous, and that's what happens when you get tracked up on top of the hill. There's nothing you can do about it. Lucy Pavlo, for one shot, will get taken down.
And he got Amarak. He repaired that first time, and it was taken down the second time. This is Synergy just going to try and push in, try and do some damage to Penta, but 2k HP head for Penta Sports, and you just have to hang on.
The trades have been very, very good here now as Mayland wants to join Killerpit, and Crespix is just, plenty of targets for him to fire right there, but his third shot isn't going to connect to anyone as Mihailov already picked off that target. The cold shots maybe not coming in as crisp as Synergy would otherwise like. Mihailov on reload, so is Crespix as well. Keep an eye on that one now. He can't do anything for the moment as they want to pressure on towards that 62A. John was caught out in the open as well. He has 3 shots, but only 1 shot of health left, and the dead zone moving in to try and block. And he does. He blocks beautifully there. John goes down. Crespix as well will be on his own in this little situation for the moment here, and he is just off reload. He can do some damage, but it's just not going to be even close to enough.
I mean, Synergy hung on well at the end there. You could see that they played some good individual performance. And Penta Sports kind of made a bit of a mess of that one, but still going to be enough. Penta significantly ahead. Happy Bubble on his own in that MX-1390. 4 tanks remain for Penta, and they know exactly where he's going to be, which sometimes can be issue on Muravan because it's such a big map with so many bushes, so many little cubby holes you can hide in. And yeah, I mean, a completely different kind of round. And as we often see on Muravanka, it's such a dynamic map. It's so big, but there's like these areas, these red spots where teams often go to get these victories. And you could see Penta played it perfectly. And I think you pointed out perfectly at the beginning, getting that bat chat in there straight away, not messing about, not even letting Synergy, set up at all, was a really good play. And then being patient with New Multishow to go forwards and kill the Dreamlike, the guy who's been at the top of that damage board in the whole WGL, let alone just Synergy, was a really good play that kind of tipped the balance towards Penta's game.
One defining feature about Muravanka, which we've actually seen a lot of strategies based on, is that you can attack towards that capture point on the western side and be safe from the enemy team in the south. There's obviously the capture point here, and then there's hill and hill. So if you nestle up really close to the enemy's side of that hill, they have to roll over the top like Luti Pavlo did and have to risk being shot. They actually can't fire at that offending tank until they themselves are in full view. And you see what happens. If you poke up onto a hill, you're going to get tracked. I mean, Lucy Pavlo got tracked once, repaired it, and then got tracked again, and that was perma-tracked. He was done then as well. By that point, no chance for him. The Dead Zone, Mayland, Killer Pit. These are the 3 tanks that were sitting in support of the bat chat trying to cap, which was Vale. Vale was the one capping there. He didn't do a lot of damage. It wasn't his role. You'll see him on the next page here. But again, those supporting tanks there, the FVs and the 110E5 really did their job. And on a map where we've sort of said that defense has a bit of that ostensible advantage, both of these teams have come out with very strong attacking sides.
Yeah, strange. I mean, like 60% is the current statistic for the winning percentage on the defensive side. So this is unusual. But we haven't seen that much of Muravanka, so it's obviously, could be some anonymous results in there like this that could throw it back the other way. We'll have to see. But, I mean, Happy Bubble didn't do that much. Dreamlike, he got cancelled out as a guy who does normally like 3, 4,
one of the best
5k damage for his team. Not good stuff. But yeah, that's going to be Muravanka, the first map done and dusted, 1 apiece. Ruinberg coming up next. Not a map we've seen these two play on a lot, but still, of course, about 70% of the time does go towards the defensive side. Although on Monday we saw, I think, Synergy beating Wombats twice in a row. It was either Synergy or Tornado. Yeah, it was Tornado beating Utopia twice on Ruinberg.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stat, for these 2 teams. It's actually only Penta that's played Ruinberg this season. Synergy have not played it at all. They haven't even touched it. Whereas Penta have played it 2 rounds. They won a defense side and lost the attacking side. So super standard, completely what you expect to see from these guys as well. But Synergy, last season especially, was that team who'd like to play these maps. They like the city maps. They did like Ruinberg a lot now, if memory serves. Things have changed a little bit now with these new tanks being picked up. We've seen the Carnarvon used before and to great effect on Ruinberg.
Yeah, we've seen that one a couple of times. I think Team Supreme was really the ones who picked up first as a kind of battering ram. They just put it into situations where it would be taking a lot of damage because it had a decent amount of armor with a lot of firepower, and it worked really well for them. But let's see how it works out in Tier 10. Of course, it's not going to be hard to penetrate that one at all, if it's even featured, because I can't see it on both these 2 teams.
No, it's actually AMX CDC. So. All right, so maybe a little bit of a...
I was getting hyped for that.
Yeah, me too, dude. The last time we saw it was so sick. That was in the old format. The CDC, you can see it pulling forward. It does have a good fire rate. It's very, very fast, but it's a big tank. That's the problem. That's really the only weakness it has, and no armor, of course, on top of that here. So the CDC, you see, look where Raven has positioned himself.
How did it bounce that Conqueror shot?
Don't even know. It's
I mean, that's like hashtag World of Tanks. Like, it's some of the bounces.
Paper mache tank, bro.
Yeah.
It really is. But Raven has his turret positioned in that direction. I would have assumed to protect someone else with his hull after he died. We've seen it used on Himmelsdorf for that exact reason, but it looks like some other plans may be in the mix here for Penta Sports. Now, note their team. It's double Batchat, double 50B, so not super heavy armored, really. They just want to be speedy and do as much damage as they can. And speaking of STBs, that's Vale and Raging Potato there who are putting pressure on towards Mersky. Now, Synergy were baited into pushing towards that north so hard that they've given up this middle village. It's just Mersky there, and he's not long for this world if he doesn't get out.
No, for sure. For me, this seems like a 754 tactic, just adapted to 768. I mean, like all this bait and switch is like the heavy end of 754 meta, and it's worked out really well for them.
Because when you see a CDC, you think he has to have other tanks with him. This is going to be where they want to have the fight, because they're going to use the hull after it's died as some sort of hull down. So Penta might have just pulled off the most brilliant bait we've seen yet by bringing that tank in there, implying that their whole force would be going towards that northern cap and then pushing into the middle. Let's see if it works out, though, because Killerpit's taking a hammering.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of damage here as they try and reverse out of that situation, but you do have the dead zone on the side with the AMX, with the Batchat even, and I feel like Synergy's kind of splintered across the map a little bit.
They've had to. They went towards the north there because they thought that was where it was all going to be going down, and now they've got to come back towards the middle a little bit more. You can see there just off your screen, it was Dreamlike, I think, went down. Now, already 3 tanks down for Synergy. Not good news. And Penta Sports, I mean, winning an attacking round here would just be absolutely massive. It's almost unprecedented. Maybe only one other team has done that. Maybe 2 if you're lucky over all the games we've seen on Ruinberg here. But let's not count our chickens before they hatch, as still some damage needs to be traded across. But Ludi Pavlo will drop, and it does seem inevitable here as Penta have just come out of the gate swinging here with a very impressive strategy. And this is why both these teams are such a pleasure to watch. Yeah,
they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, you said at the beginning that Penta is a tactical team, and it's true. Sometimes it doesn't work out for them, but this time Synergy just played straight into their hands. It was so absolutely insane. It was comical. It was like Lauren Hardy or something.
You pick one tank. You literally, you pick one tank, and the CDC was never supposed to do anything. It was just supposed to, imply something or fake something. I mean, they never even tried to... I don't even know. Synergy, because I know what they would do. They straight away, they go, CDC... You see the size of the tank, right? It's supposed to be big, and that's why people use it. They don't use it as a tank that moves. They use it as a piece of scenery to get behind and give themselves some artificial cover over on a cap point. You guys, I'm sure
I mean,
have seen
it's one of the faster, bigger tanks. It's like a square tank, like all the French ones.
So get it into position quickly.
Yeah.
When it dies, you can see that the player made sure he had his turret towards the back of the tank to give the most sort of cover, and that so that any tank coming up behind could hold down just on the back half.
Yeah.
Completely out mind game Synergy there as well. It's like they had no idea what was going on. The fact that they committed so heavily towards the northern cap because that's what the CDC means, incredible.
And I felt like Crespix in that TVP, the guy who was pushing into that corner, I think it was the Crespix at least, he pushed in, but he was in the corner so fast. I mean, that TVP is like a hoverboard. It just doesn't seem to get affected by terrain. That he didn't spot was actually could have been behind the CDC. So then you had the Conqueror trying to do that, but the Conqueror, not greatest view range. It's got bushes and all sorts of cover. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Bit of a knee-jerk reactions and Synergy, and of course, we had that first kill coming in very quickly for the dead zone and multi, just taking down Dreamlike in the Batchat straight away off the bat, and then pushing the rest of their tanks into that Eastern Village in the classic Eastern Village push on this map. And then just locking down that first Conqueror of Mersky, I think it was. And yeah, that's just bad news for them. And yeah, really nice stuff from Penta. And well, they're going to screw up the defensive side, so it's going to be 2-2 anyway. I
hit up Raging Potato in the client after the game and said, "What was that about?" I said, "Did you take the CDC just to fake something?" He's like, "Yeah, we just wanted to distract them towards the north side. We just wanted to say, hey, we're all going to be here," but they weren't. Come on, that's what I'm talking about. It's a good strategy,
Penta
bro.
did that on season 1 as well, but they actually put all the tanks in northern side.
Exactly.
So they're like mind gaming back in towards season 1, like guys.
They're
like
assuming that this other team has studied them when they saw what happened to Supreme at the finals, and they're like, well, we're looking for the Oho or those big Japanese tanks to see what they do with them. Oh, good stuff. I like that very much. Looks like Penta now going for something a little bit more standard at this stage. Let's see Waffentrager here for Synergy. And a lot of FP215Bs plus the double Batchat from Penta. They've won an attacking round on Ruinberg. Can't believe it, but it's happened. And now a defensive round just seems that much more likely.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope they don't screw up, because they screwed up the defensive round, even the easier side on Muravanka, and I do feel like Penta does that sometimes. But we can see Synergy playing pretty aggressively up the north with the TVPs, and they've got like a super high damage, fast firepower, Rhyme Waffentrager with the 12.8 kind of system here, setup. So wherever they're going to go, it has to be fast and furious. Or those FE215Bs are just going to pick them to pieces. And the two highest damages from the previous rounds were both bat chats, so you don't want to get really stood up there. And they are going to be pushing through the middle. Now, those FEs are not spotted yet.
Triple Batcher, that's intense now. The spots do come out. There goes John, takes a bit of damage. Happy Bubble. These guys need to get to grips with Penta now, or this is going to be all for nothing. They at least get across towards that cap. They're sustaining significant amounts of damage. And where's the rest of Synergy? Happy Bubble's down towards a one-shot. John looking worse for wear. And only one of these Bat Chats out of 15 possible shots, one has been fired for so much damage. Let's see if they can make up for it now. The burst is coming out. Malin goes low. Happy Bubble does drop down. That's one of the Bat Chats already off of the map. Ludi Pablo, he's healthy, but he's only got one shot left for himself. The dead zone did get hammered. Raging Potato went down, but that's a big investment to get that tank off the map as a tier 8.
The awkward thing for Penta right now is that they got 3 FE215Bs, but sitting in the middle of the map. Now, that's not a fast tank, especially up the hills, so they have to actually execute for somewhere, otherwise Synergy might start picking off the other tanks that are low HP.
And the north push as well. Synergy have gone for that standard push towards the north and tried to use the push through the middle to distract. But Oliver, I feel like they've committed far too much to try and distract away from the north. Look how far behind they are in health. They just lost all these damage trades. Bursky, in what we'd like to think is a fairly standard spot for a more statically playing tank, but there's no hull armor on a Borsig at all. You just sit in the window and get hammered. Numoldi show tracked up, look for Dreamlight. Dreamlight's got one more shot left and he'll connect it. Fair enough, but Numoldi has 4 to go. And Synergy, well, I like the idea, but they're definitely not living up to their name.
I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of liken the TVP to a hyena. Great impacts, very bad alone. Only 1,350 bursts. Ultimately, you can do 1,360. So you're not really going to be able to take down a tank even 1 versus 1. Let's be really honest here. Luti Pavlo, the last man remaining in that batch.
And he's just rolling forward very, very slowly. He knows that his days are about numbered there as well. He will go down. And that's what happens when you win an attacking round on Ruinberg. So much easier to get that defensive one. And again, for the second time tonight, we've seen a team come out with a 2-round lead after the second map. Penta have done it, and the strategies are good. Sometimes we even call them strategic and joke about it, because like we said at the start of the game, sometimes their strats are so complicated that they can't replicate them in these high-pressure scenarios. But after a strong attacking side, they were able to sit back more on the defense and play standard. Synergy definitely threw something interesting at them. Let's talk about why it didn't exactly work out, though.
Well, I mean, the FE215Bs in the middle just punished those batch chats straight away. Enough punishment that one of the tanks in behind, maybe the Object 140s, managed to pick off Happy Bubble pretty early on, Mayland. Then you had New Mighty Show holding on very well in the north, along with that RU251. They managed to bring a TVP down to a one-shot. And then those FE215Bs were just left in the middle just to try and pick between the north and south, with the rest of Penta playing pretty defensively, and they started to get ahead in terms of his HP. And really, at the end of the day, with 6 auto-loading tanks, there was no kills from Synergy at the beginning in the early stages, and that's basically a lost game on such a small pattern like Ruinberg. And yeah, I mean, this is the thing. 70% win ratio for the defensive side is what the stat is on Ruinberg, I can't think of the last time where we actually saw the defensive side, where we didn't see a match day where a team won both sides.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't get where the 70% come from.
I think we're stuck in last season as well, because it literally never happened. And now it's happening a bit more often because these tier 10 tanks give you a bit of a more chaotic sense to the game as well. Excuse me, harder to predict things. Killer Pit there, my man, up at the top there. Usually on the artillery, gets it done obviously in the FE215B. I've got to say as well, we haven't really talked about it much, but Malin's inclusion to Penta seems to have worked in their favour quite nicely. He's fitting in well. I mean, he makes a decent burger, so it's nice to see that he can play some
too many
decent
onions
tanks.
and garlic in there, mate.
Oh, did you want to like...
Couldn't speak until the weekend.
You were, man. It wasn't Angus beef and slightly seared on both sides between...
Exactly, mate. Medium rare is the only way. Brioche bread. That's what I like.
If you want to know about meat, ask Oliver. He's eaten a lot of it in his time. So
mate, I was vegetarian for 10 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Actually?
Yeah.
Really?
Till I was 18.
Wow. It would have been interesting to see what you looked like then as opposed
Still
to
bigger
now.
than you, mate.
Oh, God. All of a sudden, it's a comedy. Someone changed the description of the Twitch to comedy instead of auto tanks, because clearly someone has found some humour. But, of course, Let's talk about this next map now. It's coming up. We've seen the conclusion of Ruinberg here as well, and maybe not the way we would have expected it to be. Cliff coming up here. One of my favourite maps, to be honest. And I mean, this is a map that we've actually seen a fair bit of play on from Penta. They played 8 rounds on it total, so that means they played it 4 separate occasions. So, and bearing in mind, this is a team that hasn't played as many rounds this season as a lot of them. They're still catching up. So that says a lot. I think it says that they've played it quite a lot. Whereas Synergy only played it 5 times, 5 rounds, so still a fair bit. But Melly, I guess the voting was in favour of Penta. They're up now 3-1. So, you know, people's predictions starting to come true, although we kind of maybe thought maybe it was just more of a fan-based vote than an actual prediction from these guys.
I mean, I'm just refreshing it, and they're currently 76% up. And if we look closer to the actual predictions, I will just quickly check how many 5-1s we have, for example. None so far. Well, at least not
5-1.
no 5-1s. So
How crazy would that be?
It looks like it so far, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, how crazy would it be, though, for a team to go and beat Wombats and Tanks and then lose 5-1 to Penta Sports the next day?
Crazy.
That shows how
2 days
bad
later.
Wombats is playing right now, I guess.
How?
Well, I mean,
didn't
fair
want
enough.
to say that.
I mean, you guys were there, right? You guys were
but
there.
luckily we have Ollie for
No
for
problem.
those
Yeah,
jobs.
I probably should keep those things in my head, but, you know, gotta
Just
say
give
it.
a lot of things you say in your head, bro, but here we are.
What can I say, man?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, you know...
It's crazy.
I mean, Synergy is such an on and off team. It's so hard to predict what they're going to do next. I think that's really how you got to say
It
it.
seems like they haven't found their consistency yet.
Yeah.
Same as last season, though. They had the problem
Exactly.
last season.
The problem
But they still got in the
will
top
they
6,
ever
but they just
find
didn't
it?
have a team captain when they actually got into the pre-playoffs. So maybe they'll have that problem as well at the end of the season. They'll get in top 6, not actually have any players in their team to play it. I don't know.
But well, the voting is over, people, as soon as you see this. And yes, thank you very much for getting involved for this matchup. The next vote for the upcoming matchup, which can take a little, will be online in a few minutes. So check that one out, get your predictions in, because the earlier you vote, the earlier you predict, the higher your chances are of actually winning one of those 3 bonus codes containing the Großtraktor, Premium Days, Gold, and a garage slot. And of course, we want to still hear from you. If you want to hand in your predictions, you can do so via Twitter as well. Use the hashtag WGLEU to make sure that we can see your tweet. And also you can tweet to us directly at UberShouts, at Laughter.
Uber shouts.
Uber, same thing.
I thought it said Uber.
Uber. Uber.
It's a German word.
Yeah.
She's German. Let's just let her
It
say
should
it.
have been
Alright.
Uber.
Yeah, you
but
should have said it
umlaut.
properly.
Yeah, but it's not written with a umlaut.
No.
Should
So
have
I
written,
didn't-
written an
when I
umlaut, mate.
made up the
Come on.
name, I didn't even know the thing existed. So,
Uber.
yeah.
It's from Team Fortress, isn't it?
Oh, no, it's a long
It's from the
story.
German language. It's like a few thousand years old.
I don't know.
You're not funny. I've said that before, didn't I? I'm kind of feeling like
Alright, okay,
repeating
sorry.
myself.
No, it's fine. We all had to repeat ourselves.
Then
It's
don't
fine.
tweet to Mitch because his tweet, no, whatever.
No, don't tweet
You
to
will-
Ollie because he's an a-hole. Tweet to me. It's fine.
It's fine.
Or tweet at me, at Melly, with a 3 instead of an E. You know that by now. But people, thank you
3 with an
very
umlaut.
much for getting involved. Don't tweet to Ollie. Or tweet funny memes of Ollie. We love those. We really had, like...
Well, his life is a
It got
meme, so
lesser.
it just keeps
It's a meme.
coming.
It's a dank meme. That's what
No,
it is.
we need Lauren to lay down some of the
even.
dankness.
Not even. I think she's watching. Hi,
No,
darling.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't be too sure.
She's making some dank memes. That's what we've been talking about here.
Well, anyway, look, let's jump into the game now. We've had our interesting discussion here on the desk, as it always tends to be. Thanks, Melly, for keeping us updated as well. And she'll be back with us, of course, afterwards to give us the final results there. But we see a lot of TVPs here being picked up for Synergy. Clearly seem to be enjoying that one. Even the AMX 30, the Tier 9 being brought in here as well. What does it say to you, Oliver?
Well, I mean, Synergy, they want to be playing it very fast, and you know, with those TVPs, they'll have reload before they get to the middle. So, you know, if they can actually get into an exchange situation with Penta, especially with those 2 single shots AMX 30s, which are good hold down positions, you know, very good alpha damage 390, they can keep up with the Tier 10s, no problem at all. And then keep up with the TVPs in terms of their mobility. But I would be very surprised if Penta take the bait by going towards the middle, because that would almost be certainly suicide. But then again, you know, TVPs, it does give the game away. I mean, a lot of teams on the defensive side, on the attacking side, on the defense side, sorry, third time's the charm,
Mate.
for Synergy, they like to keep 1 or 2 tanks back onto the D5, D6 area. But with the TVPs, you almost certainly know they're all going to go in towards the middle. But Penta's gone to west. So.
Yeah, they have. They've backed off in this one. We've actually seen some pretty wacky strategies from Penta on Cliff before. They're the team that didn't even contest the hill and like snuck around the side, I think, at one point. And we've seen varying success come from Penta's slightly different tactics here. So Synergy favoured the fight. They know they have the burst. The front load of damage from them is quite massive, of course, with 4 TVPs in the mix. And like you said, Oliver, not so great on their own. Not really able to take out any tanks out their tier, but together the fire rate is just disgusting. So Synergy want to keep them together. Penta want to split them apart. And you can see them playing a bit more piecemeal here as well. Somehow Raven's got himself up onto the top of this hill, despite Synergy being literally on, like, right in the middle of the hill very, very early on. So good work from him. Super important position now because he can do so much spotting here. So much work can be done from this position. Even if he is being spotted, Oliver, he's hard to hit up there.
Yeah, but I feel like Raven is in a full DPS kind of mode. He's got the full damage, that'd be DPM, he's got the full damage kit with the gun rammer, vertical stabilizers.
Yep. So he's not trying to really be a passive scout.
Exactly. I mean, he's got no coated optics, so he can't spot really that much. He didn't spot Crespix there. So that's a big problem for Penta Sports. They didn't really think, okay, well, the TVPs, where they're going to go. Then when they saw they had full TVPs, they knew they could push up the hill in time with the RU-251. So that's interesting. And Raven's just going to have to try and do the best he can with what he's got.
So what you're saying essentially is that because Raven's sort of geared up actually for being like a Hornet, a flanking tank that actually does damage, he doesn't have the capacity to spot Synergy's tanks safely from the top of that hill. And you can see how carefully he was being forced to be there as well. Raven, look at him. He's only spotted Happy Bubble. That's something, but it's considering the wealth of information that is potentially available to a tank up on that hill, he's really not being able to get much information. And here's Vale as well, who's also spotted. So Synergy, despite being sort of herded in towards the middle of the map and Penta having ostensibly better positioning, they can't do anything with it.
No, for sure. You can see Raven's actually nipped down from the top of that hill a little bit, but Vale's been consistently spotted. You can see now the damage is starting to come in. He's not spotted anymore. I think he got something damaged. I'm not actually sure what, but he hasn't used any of his consumables. But yeah, Penta Sports is saying, okay, well, you know, let's try and find an angle. Let's see what we can do. Of course, being on the attack, they do have to go and kill the other team or get one of those caps 100% completed with the exclamation mark. Raven's still spotting things out, but from this western side, like time and time again, we've seen teams not able to execute effectively into a certain position to actually win the game.
Whatever Vale had damaged before, he was forced to repair it really quickly. I think it was actually either the turret or the gun. Two very important things, of course, if you're a bat chat trying to fire at a long distance. So a lot of shots coming in towards Vale, very few of them hitting. And look at this, Ludi Pavlov's been caught out and blown to smithereens there. The Dead Zone able to let all of those shots go, and he's actually made them all count. Very, very important part about playing that autoloader. It's all well and good to have 4 shells. You need to connect them and make the damage stick. But he's done so. So that's already one tank essentially being assassinated here. And that's Raven. Look how far forward he has to go to get the spot. He does see Crespix, but he's forced to take some damage in response.
Yeah, finally finds Crespix. And with that AMX-30 down, Raven can actually go further forwards and Vale won't be continually spotted behind that bush. So this is a lot more flexibility from Penta Sports right now. And Dreamlikes is just in such an easy position to shoot.
The Dead Zone's just beast moding, Oliver. This is ridiculous. He's going to get almost another pickup there. That would have been his second kill of the game. And all because he's just got the cojones to go forward and try and find some of these tanks. But here comes the push around the corner from Synergy. They're sick of losing tanks one by one. They're going to go around.
Yeah, I mean, Penta's quite split up. That's the problem. If Synergy can actually find a weak link here, which might be new multi-show there on the southern side of this map in the bat chat, it could be disastrous. And Vale is not, Raven even on the hill is not really being that aggressive. He's not proxy spotting or getting a clear line of sight onto these pushing tanks.
So Multi not spotted yet. Hyloft though was lit. Now Multi is lit, but look at this. Synergy all focused towards the middle of that hill, and they've got to catch out Raging Potato, who's been a maverick this round, who's really been a thorn in the side for Synergy, but now his days could be numbered. The Dead Zone is trying to respond here and get back over the hill. A little shot coming in from the 251 up on high, but it hasn't been enough to deter this push forward from the TVPs. Mayland is also quite low as well, but Dreamlike has finally dropped. So Penta still getting damage across the table, but this is going to be close. These next few seconds, very important.
Look how much damage Penta is exchanging though. Synergy's just charging through the middle. TVP's accurate on the move, but not that accurate.
John getting habit now, trying to push forward as well. I mean, Penta was kind of split, but they still had good shots for crossfires. Killapit finally lets his last shot go, and he's done a heck of a lot of damage with that. His days might be numbered now as Mihailov and Crespix want to round the corner up on the top, but still, look at this. 2 tanks for Synergy not able to fight right now because they're busy chasing after Killapit, who's going to get out of the way anyway. It doesn't even matter. Synergy really have let themselves down here now, as Penta are going to be able to clean up and go 4-1. Mihailov now doesn't even know who to shoot at. It doesn't matter who he fires at, because he's not going to be able to make anything stick. Crespix at the same time as well. He had 4 shots, but like you said, 1 TVP is just not going to be enough. Mayland might look to get the finish here, and it's Raging Potato to finish things off there. Penta's still with 5.3k health points. 4-1. 3 rounds ahead.
Yep.
Incredible, impressive, and probably more impressive. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But still, Penta, very, very good there as well. And I love what we saw early on from the Raging Potato, looking for damage, found a lot of free damage here as well, despite Vale in a bit of an awkward position.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff for them. And then having Raven on the hill, who's kind of distracting. I mean, at the end of the day, the thing we didn't really talk about is that when you have the RU-251 on the hill on the other team, just constantly spotting out, it's going to turn a lot of your turrets towards it.
It's really annoying.
At a point, it can shoot you and it can start to sting. 250 damage per shot. Yes, against those bigger tier 10s, it doesn't do that much. But when you're talking about the TVP and you're talking about 1,850 HP, it does actually start to add up real quick. So, I mean, yeah, I think that AMX30 was a big thorn on the side as well for Penta. Yes. They got rid of that real quick with the Dead Zone and Vale. And once that had happened, I think Sinji knew that they needed to do something, because it didn't. The Dead Zone and Vale would have been hulled down, and they would just be able to pick them off one by one. So good stuff that they actually went for something. But Penta were like 10 seconds too fast for them in the positions they got themselves in.
All right, so for those wondering, the CZ04 T5051 short is the TVP. It's just the internal name for that tank.
Yeah, the thing is, this is all internal data.
Yep.
And all the other tanks provide their names correctly, apart from this new one.
So we're data mining the client for this.
Yeah, once Wargaming changes the name to what it should be, like the string of the name to what it should be, then it will look like a normal tank name.
But you get it. You guys know it. Yeah, let's get it. I think it was actually the Dead Zone, not the Raging Potato, who was looking for that damage. And you saw 3.4k damage. Just sick. Really, really good. And 4 shots. I mean, this reminds me more of a souped-up T69.
Yeah,
just in terms of, like, it can't kill another tank fully. It can't kill any tank at its tier completely, but it can do a lot of damage, and it's great with that quick reload as well, and only having 4 shots. So again, Synergy want to go with those. They want to change their lineup here now as they do move towards the other side. It is, by the looks of things, a matter of Synergy having to maybe just overcome the issues. They're coming from the north, of course, this time. Instead, they're on the attacking side. So we'll see what they can do with this one here as well. To be honest, their attacking side has not looked all that good at all over the course of the day.
No, I would say that Penta, okay, they had a shaky start to their season on Cliff, losing to KB 2-0. Obviously, the next round, the next match they played was against OR, and they won 2-0 on Cliff there. So I think since then, they've kind of got their confidence back on this map, and I think they might be able to pick this one off no problem at all. Happy Bubble is spotted by Raven, so good that Raven doesn't go too aggressive, knowing that from the south you have a slightly quicker route, considering you don't have to really dodge any of those houses, those obstacles. But this TVP stack could work out better for Synergy, as they've got them all in the middle, and Penta has some tanks there as well.
This is going to get messy. I don't think Synergy are going to waste their time with any hand-wringing and moving back and forth around the map. I think they just want to go for something here. You can see they've all moved in towards the middle of the map, and they're trying to assess right now exactly what Penta Sports have lying in wait. They've got a few spots here. They've only really seen Vale and the Dead Zone, so that's all they have to go on. And there's some damage coming in from the periphery as well, important to note. Penta have split their forces fairly nicely. Do note as well, only 2 TVPs as opposed to the 4 of Synergy, looking more for that consistent rate of fire than the burst. Even though Vale, of course, up on top of the hill, still trying to make his presence known. I mean, fairly trivial damage being traded at this stage, but the fact that Synergy have already had 4 tanks tagged, some with more than 1 shot, a little bit concerning now, as they're going to need that health if they want to go for a brawl.
I feel like Penta Sports has Synergy's playbook, because with that full TVP lineup, Synergy just wants to go barreling through the middle and going for those exchanges. But because Penta have got 2 tanks in D6, there's no way they'll be able to win that exchange. We've seen that already this season so far. If teams go through the middle and there's 2 tanks back there, you're going to get taken down very, very quick indeed. So, yeah, Synergy just can't do anything, and Penta can get these trades nice and easily and start to work the Synergy's HP pull down nicely, as you can see on the top left and right.
Now, note here as well that John's, well, had a tough time. You can see his gun has been slightly damaged, not destroyed, but I think he might even have repaired that. So it might have been 2 shots in towards his gun, I'm not sure. It just affects his accuracy. He's just not going to be quite as crisp with those shots as he would otherwise like to be. And some players I've seen commit a repair kit to that. In fact, Vale actually did last round, if I'm not mistaken. He had a damaged gun. So Dreamlight going quite low here as well. And it's a war of attrition that Penta are winning by an absolute landslide right now. Look at that double tap on towards Crespix and Ludi Pavla going low as well. Both those TVPs are on reload. They're trying to stagger them out though. You can see that Synergy have 2 TVPs with 4 shots. So they want to make sure that they can sort of offset the reload cycles of those 4 check tanks to make sure at least 2 of them can be firing. But Crespix now, all he can really do is try and gain some information. He's quite far forward considering he has nothing to fire. And Penta are sitting back, playing some armchair tanks right now, and you can't really blame them. They're up by more than 2k. New Multi-Show now as well might look to try and apply some more pressure here on the western side as he goes hunting for Happy Bubble.
Yeah, it's going to be Raven, HR, New Multi-Show, take down that RU-251. Multi might not even have to reload there, and then they'll be able to take down Crespix and shoot against these tanks. And for Synergy, I don't really see what they can do. If Penta don't peak too much, they should just be about to win this game, to be honest.
Happy Bubble's played this really well, though, so far. He's made 2 shots that have connected and taken no damage. Now, New Multi-Show and Raven have to commit to him, and you're right, we probably won't see New Multi having to use all of his shots. Still has 3 to go, which is very, very important. I think Synergy know they need to push in a few moments now. Crespix is going to be the most vulnerable one here as well if New Multi rounds that corner, and Raven's going to come in from behind. There might not even be a Crespix to fire at in a moment as he goes to the 1 shot. And New Multi-Show now with 3 shells in that bat chat. He's hitting a lot of damage per shot. Going to be very, very scary there. A bit of team kill, strangely enough, there. Vale getting taken out by the dead zones. He just poked up a little bit too far, but it doesn't look like Synergy have the capacity to punish Penta for such a mistake.
I think Raging Potato could probably solo the whole of Synergy at this point in time.
Yeah, he's looking very, very healthy, especially compared to the rest of Synergy. Only 3 takes left for Synergy, and this is match point. They've squandered so many rounds in a row, and Penta have showed us just a masterclass, both on Ruhenberg and on Cliff so far. And all they need to do now is sign, seal, and deliver, and they will get themselves an important win here as well. Just a stunning, stunning performance from Penta. Still with a good 4,700 points of health, they win our 2nd game of the day.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff. I mean, they showed multiple different game styles on multiple different kinds of map, and I think they definitely deserve that win. I mean, Synergy, I felt they were lackluster, maybe a little bit cocky after their Tuesday's match against Wombats. But then, there's no excuse for Synergy because Penta Sports was also at WCA. They also had, they played in less games. Penta even played more games than Wombats did in the first half of the season. So, they have that comparison you have to make at the end of the day. And it looked like they got outclassed, full stop. I think Penta were better going forwards. They had the better strategies. And then after Ruhenberg, I was like, whatever map we play next is not going to look good for Synergy.
Generally speaking, the defensive side of most maps is easier, unless they're quite symmetrical, but even then there's an inherent fundamental advantage as a defender because the attacking side has to be the one that make the move. So, theoretically, there's a lot of risk creeping in there as well. If you're going to lose defensive rounds on 2 maps in a row, I mean, if you're going to lose the defensive round on Ruhenberg, you're already, swimming in the proverbial, as it were. And then to go on towards Cliff, and lose both rounds. Not only are you swimming in the proverbial, you got yourself back into the canoe, but you have no paddle. Yeah. So now you're up the creek without a paddle. So either way you're not swimming in the stuff anymore, but you're going to go down a poop waterfall, literally. Not going to be
pan
good.
And then into the fire again.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, poop in the pan. Don't know. That's not really my cuisine. But the point is,
it's Australian cuisine.
Point is, please. I mean, look at this. I mean, the damage countback says a lot as well. Yeah. The dead zone again. Look, just obviously a consistent performer. So is Raging Potato when he can get into position there. Really, really nice stuff. And I mean, Mihailov, highest damage dealer with less than 2k. Quite a telling sign there for Synergy, who just haven't really found their stride in this match.
Yeah, I mean, we can draw comparisons real quick. Mihailov and Dreamlike were right at the top of the damage board for the entirety of the last match against Wombats, and Dreamlike's basically nowhere to be found in the last 6 rounds. So, yeah, great game there by Penta Sports. You can't really fault them for anything they did there. They only really lost 1 round of Muravanka where they kind of went hell for leather into that right side Magic Forest, and it just didn't work out for them. From there on out, it was like a one-sided match, and losing the first round is not easy for any team, and they still came back to win it all. So, yeah, good 3 points from a very inconsistent Penta so far. in the season, not being too impressed by what they've performed, and especially after that first loss against KB, I was like, this could be a risky season of PENTA altogether. And I think Synergy, inconsistent as usual. But still, I mean, a week where they've beaten Wombats, lost against PENTA, yeah, they can't be all too sad.
This sends Synergy to 1-4 though. It's pretty grim considering where a lot of these teams are shaking up so far. If you want to challenge your Kazna Crews or whatever at the top of the ladder, you ought to be looking a little bit better than you are right now. I mean, PENTA got to 3-3 as well, so a far rosier picture by the standards of the season so far. But Melly, I'm already seeing in Twitch chat out of the corner of my eye a lot of people cheering, saying, "Yes, PENTA's back." I mean, you reckon that's true, or do you think it's just Synergy not looking so good tonight?
I really don't know. I can't tell. Seriously. I mean, we saw PENTA doing great, reaching the finals and all, but we haven't seen much of them lately. But maybe as you said, the New Year's break did them well, and so they came back with new strengths. Nobody knows until the next few match days, I guess. Well, if you want to know how PENTA Sports performed the past match days, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WGLEU, where you can find all the VODs from our past match days. And also, of course, the vote ended with over 77% in PENTA's favor.
Strong.
But no one guessing the correct scoreline for this
Yeah, you said no 5-1s were there.
Exactly, and it's stuck.
Okay, my codes. Sorry, guys. BL.
Let's throw them back into the pot.
Okay.
Have a rollover.
Yes. Next vote is already up, so people get involved. Facebook.com/WGLEU. The first post on our timeline leads you directly to our voting app, where you can simply choose the team logo of your favorite team and then predict the exact scoreline in the little text field below. Send it off, hope for the best. The vote is open throughout the first 4 rounds, therefore 2 maps of the match. And just a small hint, if you get in as early as possible, just have a wild guess. Sometimes it works wonders, and you are one of the 3 fastest correct predictants, and well, you win a bonus code. That's how it goes. Sounds easy.
Well, I mean, we've got bonus codes flying. We've got burgers from Malin flying now. I think he's probably going to do a celebratory burger.
I saw that.
A lot of throwing going on.
Yeah, it looked right. There was a lot, like Oliver said, though. Like, there was it could be a German thing as well. Like, but it was like a plate with like hamburgers in there, and the rest of the plate was just onion.
Yeah,
just onion.
For me, like a burger is like quality beef.
Yep.
And that's it.
Says
A little bit of salt,
just
little bit of salt and pepper,
and
and
the
in terms of the meat.
Says the British person.
Wow.
Yeah, roast beef.
Malin, first of all, toast your buns, bro.
Yeah, toast your buns.
Toast your
It's
buns,
cardinal sin right there.
I don't want to eat no untoasted
Doughy
buns.
buns.
And you
Not
have
about that
to
life.
fry the onions in a pan with a little bit of sugar.
And if you're going to put mushrooms in there, sauteed.
Yes.
Right,
Put it
this
on another plate. I don't want
This
it.
is like generic stuff, right? The basic. Let's go. So like when on
And
your next
baste,
burger,
and baste your burgers as well. You got to baste them a little bit. Get some of that quality flavor back in them.
Exactly, and you have to put garlic into the pan as well while frying the
Yes.
burgers.
We
Just
should
to
do a
have-
cooking show.
You know
I don't know what we're doing here.
Mainland, you come with us. And we'll all have a cooking show as well. We'll split to
Nice.
2 teams, all right, and we'll have someone who can judge us. It'll be great.
Steven's
fun as well.
good at eating, so we'll do it. We'll have him do it.
You know, Steven challenged my girlfriend to a cheesecake making competition.
really?
So he might not only can he eat, apparently he thinks he can cook as well.
Really?
So we'll keep you
He's gonna
updated
buy
on
one.
that one as well. Yeah, just one from Reva. I'd eat that anyway. Anyway, guys, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, of course, our third match of the day. It's the Wombats on Tanks going up against Connecticut. And they're going to give me absolute nightmares with that name. But that's fine. We've got to cast them once a week, and we do it with pleasure. We'll see you soon for our last game of the night.